Okay, so for decades, right, the path to making a huge hit video game, it felt completely locked down.
Uh-huh. You needed custom engines, massive teams.
Hundreds of developers, yeah, and these budgets that were just, well, frankly,
Right,
astronomical.
like Hollywood blockbuster money.
Exactly. But that whole picture, it's really shattering right now. Our research, the reports we looked at, they all point to this huge fundamental shift happening.
It's a big one. The next massive game. It isn't guaranteed to come out of some giant corporation in, say, San Francisco.
No, it might just be, one person, someone curious, working from their bedroom with a decent laptop.
And that's really the heart of today's deep dive, isn't it? We're trying to move past just the general buzz about new tech.
Yeah, we want to get into the actual mechanics.
Right. Our mission here is to kind of synthesize what we're seeing from these converging forces.
Okay, so what are those forces specifically?
First, there's the democratization of really powerful development tools. That's huge.
Okay.
Then you've got the incredible rise of the independent creator, the indie dev.
Who are setting trends now, not just following them.
Precisely. And the third piece, which is fascinating, is how artificial intelligence is stepping in. It's like this invisible, super efficient partner in the whole creative process.
Okay, so putting it all together, we're basically looking at why getting into game development, which is, let's face it, this incredibly lucrative and creatively tough field, why that barrier to entry has suddenly dropped so low.
Yeah, it's not just some minor trend. This is a radical change in the structure of the industry.
And we want you, listening, to really grasp the specific tools and the economic shifts that are making this happen.
We're definitely shifting away from that old model where having tons of money dictated what got made.
It's moving towards a creator-first world.
And that's the idea.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So when we talk about accessible tools, we absolutely have to start with the foundation, right? The game engines.
Unity comes up again and again in the sources
It does. It's consistently named as like the main driver behind this whole revolution.
because it took something that seemed incredibly intimidating, building a whole virtual world, and made it, well, manageable.
Manageable even if you don't have a computer science degree.
Yeah, that's a key part of it. It's not just that the software is available.
Yeah.
It's also about the architecture underneath. Historically, making a really solid game meant mastering very specialized, often proprietary code. Complex stuff.
Right, secret sauce kind of code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unity shifted that. It's standardized on languages like C#, which are relatively accessible.
Yeah.
And it built this whole ecosystem. It's not just for coders, it supports visual thinkers too.
Can you elaborate on that, the visual thinking part? I imagine for someone wanting to start out, the idea of writing like thousands of lines of code, that's the big wall.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A really key thing here is how scripting has evolved. Unity brought in tools like Bolt,
Bolt, okay.
which is basically visual scripting. So you're not typing out lines of code in the traditional sense.
So what are you doing?
You're dragging and dropping these nodes, these little boxes, and connecting them. It looks kind of like a flowchart.
Ah, okay. To build the game's logic.
Exactly. It lets you bypass that really steep learning curve of syntax and programming rules. Designers can prototype ideas, game mechanics, incredibly quickly this way.
That makes sense.
And then you pair that with the Unity Asset Store.
Which is massive.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's this marketplace full of pre-made art, sounds, bits of code, solutions to common problems.
So you don't have to build every single thing from scratch?
Right. It means a solo developer or a tiny team can grab the building blocks for a whole game without needing an expert in absolutely every field.
And that technical shift, that accessibility, it directly fuels the creative side we mentioned.
Totally.
This is what really kicked off the modern indie developer wave, didn't it?
It really did.
And these creators, they're not just making, little hobby projects anymore. They're setting global design trends. They're disrupting what people expect from games.
They absolutely are. And the reason they've had this impact is tied directly to the freedom these tools give them.
Freedom from the grunt work.
Pretty much. When you don't have to spend months reinventing the wheel, like building a physics engine from zero.
Right.
You can pour all that energy, 100% of your time, into the story, the unique game mechanics, or creating a specific emotional impact.
And you can see the results in games that genuinely change the industry, like Celeste comes to mind.
Great example.
It was built on incredibly precise, challenging platforming, but it also had this really deep, moving story about mental health.
It was focused. polished. It demanded perfection in its chosen design, not a colossal budget for world building.
Right, or think about Stardew Valley.
Oh yeah, a classic.
That game blew up not by trying to compete with, giant AAA fantasy world.
No, it did the opposite. It offered something warm, something nostalgic, and surprisingly deep that the big studios had basically ignored for years.
It felt like a direct response almost to how bloated and maybe over-monetized those farming sims had become.
You could definitely read it that way. And it just proves that the main ingredient for success, it's shifted radically. It's not about capital and staff size anymore.
It's about pure, uncompromising vision.
That's it.
And maybe the willingness to just start rather than needing the ability to fund it from day one.
Precisely. And that idea, that willingness to start, it leads us straight into the next big accelerator that's reshaping game development. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence.
Right. AI.
AI is seriously bridging the gap now between a solo dev's grand vision
Yeah.
and their actual capacity to, execute it, especially with asset creation and testing.
So this isn't sci-fi anymore. It's actually in the workflow.
Yeah. The reports make it clear. It's integrated daily for many.
Mhm.
We're really talking about technology acting as a genuine partner.
A partner. Okay, how does that partnership actually look, practically speaking? We hear all the hype about AI art, sure, but what are the specific, useful ways it helps an indie creator make their game faster or better?
Okay, we're seeing about three main functions really making a difference. First is generative AI for assets.
Right, the art generation.
Yeah, but it's more than just concept art. It's textures, character portraits, even basic 3D models to use as placeholders.
So if you're great at coding, but maybe not so much at drawing.
Exactly. You don't have to spend weeks trying to mock up assets yourself or constantly pay contractors for every little icon or texture,
You can iterate visually much faster, hours instead of weeks.
which directly tackles that time sink issue we talked about. Huge productivity boost.
Okay, that's one. What's the second function?
The second is using procedural generation and machine learning tools. These help with optimization, level design, and testing.
How so? Level design, for instance.
Well, think about placing every tree, every rock, every building in a large game world. Tedious, right?
And incredibly.
Procedural generation, often guided now by machine learning, can create vast, unique environments based on rules and parameters the developer sets.
So the AI helps build the world structure.
Yeah, or fills it in intelligently. And AI is also being used heavily for testing. It can run thousands of simulations at once.
You find bugs.
Bugs, yes, but also gameplay balance issues, confusing map layouts, things that would take a team of human testers ages to find. Much faster feedback loop.
Okay, assets and world building testing. What's the third big area? You mentioned dialogue and voice acting earlier.
Yeah, that falls under more advanced generative AI. It can now generate pretty robust, contextually aware dialogue for NPCs, non-player characters.
Speeding up the writing process.
Significantly, especially for games with lots of characters or branching conversations. And then there's AI voice synthesis.
Text to speech, basically, but getting really good.
Exactly. High-quality AI voices mean a solo dev can actually give every character in their game a unique, polished voiceover. That was completely out of reach cost-wise just a few years ago.
Okay, but I have to ask the question every creator's probably thinking. If AI is doing the art, the voices, maybe helping with level design, aren't we just going to get loads of generic soulless games?
That's the critical question, yeah.
What did the sources say about keeping things original when you're using these, widely available AI tools?
It's a really vital distinction the reports make. AI is presented as a tool for execution, not a replacement for vision.
Okay.
The core creativity, the unique game mechanics, the emotional tone you're aiming for, the specific story choices that has to come from the human developer.
So the AI doesn't have the ideas.
Not the original ones, no. If you tell an AI, generate generic fantasy knight armor, well, you'll get generic armor.
Makes sense.
But if you give it a really specific, detailed prompt based on your unique world, your distinct art style, the AI can then rapidly generate the polished asset that fits your singular idea.
So the developer is still the director, the curator of taste, the storyteller.
Absolutely. The human is firmly in control of the creative vision.
Okay, that clarifies the contrast then. Success isn't about having the biggest team anymore. It's more about efficiently executing the boldest ideas.
Right. AI takes over a lot of the repetitive, time-consuming labor.
Freeing up the developer to focus purely on that unique connection they want to build with the player. The creativity, the emotion.
And what's fascinating here, truly, is just The speed of iteration this unlocks.
Because you're not investing months in an asset that might not work,
Exactly. If an idea doesn't pan out, the time you've lost is maybe measured in hours, not weeks or months.
which encourages taking more risks, trying weird stuff.
Definitely. It lowers the cost of failure, which paradoxically fuels experimentation and real innovation. That's where the breakthroughs happen.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly. We've talked about the professional developer, the indie creator,
Mm-hmm.
but the democratization doesn't actually stop there, does it? One of the most exciting things from our analysis was seeing how that line between player and creator is getting really blurry.
Oh, absolutely. This might be the ultimate expression of democratization in gaming.
The audience isn't just passively consuming anymore, they're building stuff actively.
And we've already seen rock-solid proof that this model works, both creatively and economically.
You're talking about games like Minecraft, Roblox.
Those are the huge ones, yeah. And maybe PlayStation's Dreams more recently, exploring that space too.
And it's not just that these platforms allow you to create.
No, creation is the main event. It's the core feature.
Right.
And if you look at the economics behind it, especially something like Roblox, it's undeniable. They proved that giving players tools, sophisticated but still accessible tools, leads to this exponential explosion of content, way more than any single studio could ever produce.
And Roblox has that whole developer economy built in, right?
Exactly. Player creators can earn real money.
Yeah.
Actual income based on how popular their games or their created assets become within the platform.
So they're financially incentivized to make cool stuff.
Yep, it directly rewards creation on the player side.
So you really can be both. You can play in worlds, and you can be the one building those worlds for others to explore.
The old, rigid role of just being a consumer is fading fast. It's being replaced by this sort of dual role, the consuming creator.
And if you trace that accessibility, that power to create, back to its roots.
It connects right back to the professional tools we started with,
Right.
like Unity.
Ah, okay. How so?
Well, learning the basics of a mainstream engine like Unity is highlighted in the sources as a core skill because it preps you for this whole creative ecosystem.
Whether you're aiming to make your own indie game or maybe create stuff for Roblox.
Precisely. It's like learning the foundational language for turning your ideas into something real, something interactive, something alive. It applies across the board.
And once you have that foundation, say in Unity, the possibilities really open up, don't they?
They explode. It's not just, okay, I can make a 2D runner or maybe a 3D shooter.
Right.
The reports showed developers using this base knowledge to create literally everything. Cozy farming games, intricate visual novels.
Complex AI-driven simulations, even interactive training tools for businesses.
The variety is huge. The takeaway really is that the main limit now is your own imagination.
Because the traditional barriers, time and cost, have been drastically reduced.
Virtually eliminated in some cases. You don't need a big publishing deal or venture capital just to execute a compelling idea anymore.
You just need the drive, the vision.
That's becoming the main currency.
So if we tie all these threads together, connect it to the bigger picture, the conclusion seems pretty clear.
Yeah, I think so. The gaming world really has transformed into a creator's world. It's not an exaggeration.
The tools are there, they're powerful, they're affordable.
The AI tech is stepping up as this incredibly efficient partner handling the tedious stuff.
Opportunities to publish, to find an audience, they've never been greater. And that barrier to entry, never been lower.
And this new era, it isn't happening just in those shiny corporate campuses anymore.
No, it's completely decentralized.
Yeah, the future of gaming is genuinely being built in bedrooms, on laptops, in small home offices, all over the world.
The power to design, build, and maybe even launch the next hit game. It's truly in your hands now.
It really is.
And that brings us to a really interesting final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. It builds directly on this idea of AI as a development partner.
Okay.
If generative AI can now reliably handle so much of the heavy lifting, the repetitive design tasks, the art execution, the voice acting, maybe even basic level layouts.
Freeing up human creativity.
Exactly. It frees up human minds almost entirely for the emotional stuff, the conceptual breakthroughs. So the question is, what previously impossible experiences will creators try to build next?
What new kinds of emotional journeys or conceptual playgrounds become possible?
Right. What truly new forms of interactive storytelling might emerge now that they're kind of unburdened by the old mechanical constraints because the basic scaffolding can be outsourced to AI?
That's the next frontier.
That's the frontier you now get to explore.
Yeah.